there's no winning.
I know.
Like optimists struggle just as much as pessimists, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
So we're all screwed up. Cool. That's good news.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Today's episode is going to suck.
Oh, it is going to suck.
It's going to be awful.
Oh
I don't know why
gosh.
you're listening right now.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if I'm kidding because it hasn't happened yet, but we're talking about being a negative person and how do we become less negative. And as I was prepping for this, I realized you can't relate to this because you're like
know.
the ultimate optimist.
I am the worst
it makes
optimist
me
ever. I know.
sick.
I'm so annoying.
You really are.
I know.
I think I was. Do you think you were born an optimist?
Yes.
Okay. I think I was born a pessimist. And then I also think there's something cultural there. The part of the world where I was born and raised in Croatia. And I think Croatians would agree with me. I think it's gotten better, but especially many decades ago, it was very much like Eeyore. Like everything's going to turn out bad and life sucks. And granted, that part of the world obviously went through some really hard things, including a war when I was a kid. So it's hard. Like, first of all, yes, like I said, I think I was born already kind of a negative person. I think I was raised in a kind of negative culture. My grandma, who I was very close to, who has passed since, I adored her and love her, but she'd be the first to say, yep, very negative. And I'm sure that influenced me. And
she would be the first to say you were negative or she was negative?
She was.
Oh.
She would tell me so often when I was a kid. I mean, I remember this like as one of my first memories. One of your first memories developed when you're 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Of her saying, we're so much alike. We're so much alike. We love to sing together all day and we're creative. But the one thing I don't want you to be like me, and I see it already, you worry too much. I worry. And she worried all the time because she just always assumed the worst case scenario. And this woman had gone through a lot. Out of 6 children, she lost 4.
Gosh.
One in a tragic accident. And, I'm not even going to get into her whole life story because that's for another time. But she went through a lot. So I get it. When life keeps giving you all these bad things, how do you stay positive?
Right.
And I have worked really hard on it. In my first book, Hold On But Don't Hold Still, I have an entire chapter titled Recovering Pessimist. We used to sell merch.
Yes.
We don't have it anymore. I should bring those shirts back.
Yes.
Hey, let me know, people, through email, social media, wherever, if you want me to bring back the Recovering Pessimist shirts, if that's something you'd want to wear. I don't even know where mine is. I should have worn it today. But because I consider myself a recovering pessimist, meaning I am in recovery. I will always be in recovery. I guess I don't want to compare it to something that's a lot more serious, like addiction, but it does almost feel like I was addicted to negativity and constantly assuming the worst case scenario. And when bad things did happen, it was like, see, yep, I was right. Preparing myself for the worst. We sometimes think that will protect us.
Right.
My daughter struggles with that too, of like, well, I'd rather just prepare for the worst. I'm like, yeah, but you're wasting all this energy and time right now, preparing for something that might not happen. As my friend Amy pointed out to me once as I was being negative, she said, you realize if there's a 50% chance the worst case scenario will happen, there's also a 50% chance the best case scenario will happen. And you are only choosing to focus on the 50 negative. What if you actually each time chose to focus, not being unrealistic, not saying there's a 100% chance this will work out, but saying there's a 50% chance this will work out and focusing on that. And I was like, that sounds impossible. So I have gotten better. I want to talk about it. I think it definitely helps us to not live in that negativity, to not let ourselves drown in it, to let go of the stories that maybe we've clung on to stop dwelling on the hard stuff. I think there's a lot of letting go that needs to happen.
Sure.
And like I said, negativity became my default mode, and I still struggle with it because it felt protective. And life is hard, and we all want to feel protected from the hard stuff. You know, if I expect the worst, I won't be disappointed.
And I think also we get trapped in our thoughts.
Oh, 100%.
And we keep thinking the same way over and over and over again. And it is almost like an addiction, I suppose, in a way, in that you get a rut in your brain and you just keep mulling over it.
That's the thing. I train my brain to be negative.
Right.
And I'm having to retrain it. And that's really hard. So I'll share in a second what I did with my kids when I started seeing them be negative. Because I think we do need to help our children from a young age so that their brain doesn't get wired into negativity. But the whole idea of feeling like it's going to protect me, in reality, negativity doesn't protect us. It just robs us of peace even before anything happens, right? So if something bad's going to happen, it's still going to happen. But in the meantime, why am I robbing myself of peace? Like, why am I creating a movie in my head that doesn't even exist? That's
true.
That's what I did. I literally was playing movies in my head that didn't exist. And then if it still happened, well, now I ruined that. Now that's hard, but also this part is hard too, like the waiting part, right? The before part. Whereas why can't the before part at least be peace? And then when it happens, I'll deal with it. I think also a lot of negativity comes from not being confident in ourselves that we can handle the hard stuff. If you're confident, you know, the more I've gone through hard stuff in life and gone, I've managed it, I'll manage it again. It's easier to be positive because it doesn't feel like this unknown is gonna destroy me. The world will end. It's like, okay, even if something really hard happens, I've managed the unmanageable. I can do it. I can do it. The thing I was going to mention about my kids. So I actually wish I'd focused. It's funny. I wish I had done it more with Matea, but she didn't seem to struggle with it when she was a kid. And now, so I focused on it with Luca, my oldest. And now he's the one that's in a lot of ways more positive than Matea. So I messed that one up. But anyway, Luca definitely was kind of a think negative. Yeah. And he reminded me of me as a kid. And it kind of scared me. I was like, oh, I don't want that. Just like my grandma didn't want it for me, right? So I remember one day we were driving back from his soccer game and he was just in the worst mood about it. They lost the game. The ref made some call that he didn't agree with and all this stuff. And I noticed it was like a pattern, an ongoing thing where it was like everything was negative, dwelling on negative. So I didn't really think it fully through, but I'm driving there in the back seat and I turn back and I go, okay, I just came up with the game. It's called Yeah, But. So here's the deal. You can tell me everything you're mad about, everything you're upset about, all those negative feelings you feel, let them out. Because I always have told my kids, and I really strongly believe this, suppressing our feelings is not the path to healing. I don't like when a kid is upset and the parents say, don't be upset. It's okay. Don't, don't, like suppressing. And I get that we do it with really great intentions. We don't want them to be upset. We want them positive. But I think there's that balance, like let them feel what they feel, right? Because you want them to grow up and know that I shouldn't be just suppressing, or there's nothing wrong with me if I feel anger, sadness, frustration. So I said, you're going to tell me, you're just going to blurt it all out. Tell me all the negative feelings you have. Then I'm going to say, yeah, but, and you have to follow with something positive. And so he went on and on about this game and blah, blah. And then when he was done, I said, yeah, but, and he kind of took a moment because he was still stuck in that negative. And it's almost like he was fighting. He didn't want to come up with anything positive. I was like, are you going to win the game? You win the game by completing, yeah, but, and every kid wants to win a game, even if there's no prize. And so he said, yeah, but I love my coach. And we have a game again next Saturday. And I think we're going to do really well. And I'm excited to practice with my team on Wednesday.
That's
and
adorable.
all of a sudden, it kind of got him out. It's not that all those feelings were gone. We're not denying them. We're not suppressing them. But hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We got another game. And the coach is awesome. And I love my teammates. So when I saw that it worked with him, and then we did it a lot, I kind of started doing it with myself. And I love it. There's a story in my first book where I write about how during the war in Croatia, so thankfully my family was safe, but there was one night where a shrapnel from a grenade went through the window of my bedroom. My family was not, I don't even remember if we were in a basement, if we were out of town, because we would leave town and be with relatives in safe areas. I don't even remember where specifically we were that night. But a shrapnel from a grenade went through the window of my bedroom. And if I had been there, I'd be dead, which is crazy. Gosh. But right behind my bed was this big bookshelf. And that bookshelf completely exploded into pieces. And on that bookshelf was a photo album. This is before laptops and before our parents saved pictures digitally. Every picture was just printed, and that's the only copy you had.
Yep.
So this was an album of my pictures that my mom put together from birth till I think I was 12 when this shrapnel destroyed everything. And there was only one tiny piece, like a corner of the album that was still intact.
Wow.
And the rest of the album was destroyed. And these were all my pictures. Like there were no copies, right? And so years later, I'm talking to my mom, and this is after I hadn't had my third child, but I had my two kids, and I'm looking at all their pictures, and I'm talking to my mom, and I'm going, I'm just so bummed that I have maybe 10 at most pictures of myself from birth to 12. Like, I don't even know what I looked like when I was 5. I don't know what I looked like when I was 8. I don't have a single picture of, certain years. And even the pictures I have, most of them have burnt edges, because the album was destroyed. And my mom listened, and then she said, yeah, Kristina, I know. And it's awful, and it's hard, and it's sad. But that's all you lost. How many people do we know who lost their parents, their children, their friends? Yes. How many people do we know who lost their entire house? This is the only meaningful thing you lost. And it wasn't her going, your feelings don't matter, suppress your feelings. It was almost her version of, yeah, but. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, but that's all you lost. And it was such a good perspective for me. Right. And I do look at those pictures differently now. I'm still sad, and it's okay to be sad. Because, yeah, especially now, I'm like, I want to know if my kids at their age look like me. Like, I have no idea. It's still, and I think a lot of us, we love, our childhood pictures. And so, yes, there's still that sadness. But instead of dwelling in it, instead of sitting in it, I can now look at the pictures and go, I'm sad. But it's also a reminder, gosh, I'm so thankful.
Right.
I'm so thankful. And maybe sometimes that's what we need to do is look at, like the silly example with my son's soccer game. We lost the game. But I'm so thankful that I have a great coach.
Right.
And that's what I've been working on. That's my journey of being a recovering pessimist.
And I think that the yeah, but is a great tool for us to help our kids with and for us to help ourselves with.
Yeah.
But I would be careful with going up to somebody that's just a friend who says, well, I just had a miscarriage. And please don't say, yeah, but you have 2 other kids.
Thank you for saying that, because unfortunately, I do think some people need to hear that there's a time and place.
Definitely, yeah, but yourself all day long.
But your kids when things, But let's not but strangers. The same, but. That's a but with 1 T. But don't but with 2 T's strangers either. That's illegal. Yeah. It's just like unsolicited advice, right? Like, right. You can give advice to your 3-year-old. Don't go to other people. Give yourself advice. Don't give unsolicited advice to strangers.
Right, for sure.
And all of this is about I can only work on me, right?
Right. Oh, 100%.
And hopefully encourage my kids to think in a positive way.
Yes.
But
but
I realized that the whole idea of protecting ourselves, which I think is probably most pessimists can relate to, like, I have to assume the worst because I don't like sitting in uncertainty. It's uncertainty, right? I realized that it's kind of like carrying an umbrella everywhere. And you end up looking like an idiot. I did. I'm going to talk for me. It does. You start to feel silly because think about just like waiting for that storm. It might rain. I don't want it to ruin my hair and my clothes. I don't want to get wet. So even though the weather, there's a 50% chance it won't rain. Not only am I going to carry it, I'm going to have it open.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to, just in case there's a drop, I'm just going to walk around life with an open umbrella above my head all the time, just carrying. First of all, your arm's going to get so freaking tired, right? And it is. Negativity is exhausting. Protecting yourself is exhausting. Second of all, how many things are you not going to be able to do and enjoy in life because your arm is busy holding that stupid umbrella 24/7. So I kind of, because you know how I am. I always need like a analogy or a visual. Yes. I sometimes think about that. I actually told my daughter that recently. She was worrying about something. I'm like, you gotta put that umbrella down. You're looking silly. Yeah. Like it's starting to get silly. Yeah. What is there a 50% chance that everything will work out? Then put the umbrella. If you're not ready to completely like get rid of the umbrella, have it in your car. Like have it, but you don't need to have it open and carrying it around, like ease yourself into thinking positive. And then know my marinade analogy.
I love that one. Give the marinade analogy.
So again, I used to be the most negative person. It's funny, people that met me later in life can't picture it. You've said the same thing. Yeah. But if you met me when I was like a teenager or especially in my 20s when I was going through, I was such a negative person. Like even if the best thing happened, my mind was going into the negative that was about to happen. Or if somebody complimented me, my mind couldn't take the compliment because I was already thinking negative. I was like, oh, well, they are complimenting. They don't really know what I'm like. Or, they obviously don't know. I don't know. I would always find a way. Is my point. Right. Super negative. And so I was marinating chicken one day and I was thinking about how the marinade is kind of like the negativity and I am chicken. Okay. I am a piece of meat. Okay.
Yes, you are.
And so I was thinking how I'm this piece of chicken and I'm putting myself in this marinade of negativity. And what I've been doing most of my life is just sitting in there. Okay. What's going to happen to this chicken if I let it sit in a marinade? And by the way, it's good to marinate chicken, right? Yeah. But if I let it sit there for days, weeks, years, that chicken is going to turn into gelatinous poison.
That's going to be nasty.
And that's what happens to my joy and my life and my mental health when I let myself sit in the negativity for days and weeks and years. It all just turns unhealthy, right?
Yes.
So the way I think of it is I'm going to get into that marinade because it's good for me to feel what I feel. I'm going to allow myself to feel the negativity I feel. I'm going to let it season me. I'm going to let it season me. I'm going to let it teach me some things. And then what I need to do is after I feel that and season myself, I'm going to pull myself out of that marinade and I'm going to move on.
You're going to go to the grill.
I'm going to go to the grill. I think that's the key is feeling it and not dwelling in it. Because I don't believe that it's possible to just, and even for you, right? You're an optimist, but it's not because everything in your life is great.
Definitely not.
And it's not because you're in denial about bad things. You let yourself feel things, but you don't dwell in them. Like you've found a way to feel the negativity without letting it move in.
I guess
it visits.
I think there's a whole nother episode on optimists because sometimes I'm so optimistic that I'm only looking at this is going to happen. This is going to be so good. And then if it doesn't work out the way I thought in my brain, then that's such a letdown.
And then what do you feel? And then you're going to negative mode? Then I beat
myself up over it. And then I'm like, no, it's going to be good. Next time I'll just do this different and it'll be great.
So really,
maybe that's bad.
There's no winning.
I know.
Like optimists struggle just as much as pessimists, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
So we're all screwed up. Cool. That's good news.
Yeah,
okay.
Good to
know. I like that. I like knowing that we're all screwed up. One of the things I did, and I post this pretty much every December for people. So in my journey, why is that word so overused?
Journey.
In my traveling, in my voyage.
Traveling through life.
To become less negative, I decided one year that I would do sort of a New Year's resolution, although I suck in New Year's resolutions, but I decided for 1 year, every day, I have to write something good that happened that day. Like at the end of the day, I have to write something good that happened that day. And I just promised myself, even though I've never actually done a New Year's resolution where it lasted a whole year, I'm like, this is an exercise I really want to do. And it's easy. I'm going to do it in my phone, in my notes section.
And that was not a good year.
No. I was like, but you know what? I'm going to make myself do it. Obviously, we don't know what life will bring our way, right?
Right.
So it starts off and it's good. And by the way, I wanted to make sure I wasn't writing something general I'm thankful for because it almost felt too easy and almost kind of cheesy for a negative person like me to be like, I'm thankful for my family. I mean, I am, but I wanted something specific and it had to happen that day.
That's good.
That was good. And so, it's like today I had a really great connection with my kid when we played blah, blah, blah. Or today I spent time with my friend. It was going great. Then a few months in, I was up for a job on a major network. A show that has now been running for years. I won't say the name of the show. And I was one of the finalists. And this was going to be a dream gig. Great salary, great co-hosts. Like, I was super excited. And my manager was sure I was going to get it. Like, they had flown me to New York. They had done the screen test, everything. I was one of their top picks. And last minute, I find out I'm not going to get it. Somebody who had connections with the producer, who might have been in a relationship with somebody, but that's not the point. That's for another episode. Gossip. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter the reasoning. I find out I didn't get it. And I was so bummed because I had created this fantasy. I've created this what my life was going to look like and our life was going to change. And and this is, by the way, before my videos took off, before I had this big following and all that.
Yes, it was. I remember now.
Yeah. So that was really hard. And it was hard that night to find something good that happened the day because I got the news in the morning. And then my whole day, I sat in that marinade and I dwelled. And I don't remember what I wrote down, but I found something. And then a month or two later, I had a miscarriage. And that was really rough. So I had been remarried. I had 2 kids from my first marriage. I'd been remarried. We waited 4 years and then finally decided, we're ready. Let's have a baby. We had announced to the kids in really cute ways. They were so excited. Matea was like, Mom, can I teach the baby to roller skate? How old does the baby need to be to learn how to roller skate? And Luca's like, I want to share the room with the baby. I want to make sure that the baby sleeps, in a bed right next to mine. And they were just so excited. And so I find out, that's a whole nother long story. We can talk about it in a different episode. But I find out I miscarried. And the doctor basically was like, do you want to do this here, the DNC procedure here, or do you want to go to the hospital? If you do it here, we can't really medicate you. But if you go to the hospital, you might sit and wait for hours. I couldn't even think straight. I was so upset and depressed that I was like, just get it over with. I'll just deal. I didn't realize how painful it would be. So I have this procedure that's so most women are put to sleep during this.
Oh my gosh.
It was so painful. And my husband wasn't allowed in the room when they were doing it. So I'm grabbing my legs. I had bruises on my legs because I was grabbing my thighs so hard. And then I'm come home. I am bleeding profusely, which is normal for when you have this procedure. I am devastated. And now on top of that, I have to sit my kids down and tell them what just happened. And by the way, in the meantime, we found out that it was twins. So it was felt like a double loss. And I was just so upset. So I'm laying in bed that night and out of habit, because this was May, and by then I'd been doing it for 5 months. It was habit to pick up my phone and write down this thing. I pick up my phone and I just felt such rage. It went from sadness all day to rage that I was needed to write something positive. And I remember thinking, screw that. There is nothing good that happened today. Literally, first thing in the morning, I was all excited to go to this appointment. Even when we were at the receptionist was like, did you look at your latest labs? Everything looks good. She got our hopes up.
Oh my gosh.
And then we have the ultrasound and we found, anyway. And then I have this awful procedure. And then I'm telling my kids and they're crying. I'm literally, there's nothing good that happened today. I'm not doing the stupid exercise. And I put my phone down and I thought, okay, I promised myself I'd do it. I promised myself I'd do it every day. And I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm thinking. And the only thing I come up with, and this always makes me cry, the only thing I come up with is there was something about the way that my husband tucked me into bed when he brought me home from the doctor and just snuggled me into that blanket and kissed my forehead that just made me feel so loved. And I wrote that down. Just that. The way my husband tucked me in made me feel loved. And the minute I wrote those words down, typed those words down in my phone, it's not that the sadness went away. It's not that the anger went away, but it just, it like, I don't even know how to explain it. It just left this little bit of light. Like everything was dark and it's like somebody just lit one little candle. And I fell asleep that night feeling loved. And I wonder if I hadn't done that exercise, if I hadn't written that down, I probably wouldn't have even remembered that beautiful feeling I had when my husband tucked me in. I would have completely let everything else distract me from that. And I would have fallen asleep, you know, only focusing on this loss. And again, I'm not trying to be unrealistic. I fell asleep crying. I fell asleep sad, but I also fell asleep feeling I am so freaking loved. I'm so loved. I have such a supportive, amazing man in my life. And he's going to help me get through this. He's going to help our children get through it. We're going to be okay. So if whether you want to make it your thing that you do every day, and by the way, it doesn't have to be a New Year's resolution. You can start right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or whether it's something that can just help you. And I don't do it every day now. But when things are really bad, I mean, again, it's another version of yeah, but, right?
Yeah.
I try to just go in this awful, awful thing. Is there a good thing?
Yeah.
Is there one good thing that happened today? You know, we're so good as humans taking the 5 bad minutes. And when I say 5 bad minutes, I'm not talking about my miscarriage. That was not 5 bad minutes. That was a long healing process.
Yeah.
But we're so easy at taking those 5 bad minutes and dwelling on them. I mean, I think a lot of us, I've had days where something bad happens and I call my friends at the end of the day and I'm like, you will not believe what happened. It was the worst day ever. And I'm literally rehashing 5 minutes of that entire day. Oh, it was so bad, you know, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And then we're together dwelling on this bad thing, right? 5 minutes of my whole day and I let it ruin everything. What if we took the 5 good minutes, which by the way, let's be honest, most days actually have more than 5 good minutes, right?
Oh, sure.
But what if we took 5 good minutes, the great minutes from our day and went, I'm going to dwell on that. Oh, I'm going to milk those 5 minutes. I'm going to call everybody and be like, can you believe the 5 great minutes I had today? I had 5 minutes that were the best 5 minutes. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, we should.
I'm going to start calling you, Kat.
Yeah, and be like, I had a great 5 minutes.
Yes. How's the rest of your day? We're not talking about that.
No, just
We're not talking about that right now. I'm taking that to therapy.
I mean, I think I've said this before, but there's that analogy about the buzzard who flies around all day looking for something dead and the hummingbird who flies around all day looking for something sweet, and they're both going to find what they're looking for, you know?
Yep.
So
that's such a good point. I as someone who's been a very negative person, I do think that it's possible to become more positive. Again, I call myself a recovering pessimist because I still struggle with it.
Sure.
I still struggle with it.
You know, we had some questions from
let's
your
do that.
listeners. And so we've got about 3 questions. I know we got to hurry because we're running out of time. The first one is, what if I'm surrounded by negative people?
Yeah, that's hard.
How do you stay positive?
I've been there, done that. I mean, we can't control other people's energy. We can't control other people's words and, you know, what they bring to us. But I think we can set some boundaries. So I've had to learn, like, because this is something I struggle with, like, I'm going to have to set some boundaries. Just like, again, I hate to compare it to any sort of addiction, but it's the easiest comparison, I guess, right now. You know, if I struggle with alcohol use, I'm not going to be able to eliminate ever being around alcohol, right? And I'm going to, you know, have, by the way, this is not my struggle. We're just pretending, but I'm going to be around people who drink and all that, but I'm going to make some healthy boundaries. Like maybe I won't go to that bar, right?
Right.
Just like a person would do that if they struggle with alcohol. I have learned that I have to limit my time with certain people. So it's not about just getting rid of them, but limiting my time and also limiting letting it penetrate me. Because it's very easy if you're a negative person and you're around negative people, you start to absorb it and you engage it, right? So they're being negative and now you're joining in it. And I've had to, as a person, go, I'm not engaging this conversation. Sometimes that boundary just means changing the topic into something positive before I let myself go down that slide. So unfortunately, there's no perfect answer to it, but just making sure that we're not trying to control them. It's not going to work. That's their own journey. But B, even more importantly, that we are creating that boundary, whether it's change the topic, whether it's less time, whether it's just learning how to hear it without breathing it in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, another question. And I get this one. What if positivity feels fake or forced?
Yeah, that's very relatable. And I think it feels fake and forced for people like me because it's unnatural. It's unnatural to just think positive. And so then it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm being that cheesy person who's naive. It feels naive.
It does.
That's what it is. It feels naive. And so what I try to do is go, okay, let's just focus on what's true right now. What's true right now. And a lot of times what's true right now isn't so negative. A lot of times the negativity is stuff about future, or even what's true right now. Yes, this negative thing happened, but can I find the good? Even if it's like, today was really hard. Today sucked, but I still showed up. That's already a more positive way to think, because in the past, my thought would have been, today was hard. The end, period. Now it's, today was hard, but I still showed up. Like just kind of letting your brain slowly adjust and it'll stop feeling so fake.
And I think the thing with being fake or forced, it sounds like what you're trying to do if you're positively you're faking being positive, is that you're not letting yourself marinate in things sometimes.
Yes.
If you're forcing it.
Yeah. And yeah, I do think it's going to feel less fake if you feel what you feel and then you find the good. Instead of, I just have to find the good. I can't even think.
I'm going to ignore that bad stuff. I'm going to ignore it all.
Yeah. Never suppress your feelings.
Right.
Let me be clear on that. That doesn't mean you scream at your spouse because you're angry with them. But you can communicate your anger in a respectful way.
Sure.
But what I mean more is don't suppress. Like, I don't want to feel sad. I'm not going to let myself feel sad. And don't do that to your kids either. If they feel sad, let them feel sad.
Right.
Let them feel sad. Teach them how to deal with the sadness. That's a much better parenting, helpful thing you can do for them than just telling them don't feel sad. And I'm guilty of that. I've said that to my kid when they're, don't be sad. And then go, you know what? No, be sad. You're sad. Be sad. Let's talk through it. How can we get through the sadness?
And another question, the third one, is can you be realistic without being negative? And I get that because, negative stuff's going to be in life, you know, and you got to be realistic. You got to be prepared.
I mean, I think realism means acknowledging facts and then believing in your capacity to handle them, right? So, like, negativity will say, this is hopeless. Realism will say, this is really freaking hard, but I can handle it. Which I guess, the difference is hope.
Yes, that is the difference.
Which you have to have hope if you're going to try to be positive. And I think we all need hope. I mean, the name of this podcast is Hope and Humor because those are the two things I need in my everyday life. And the other difference, I guess, is the whole idea of trying to be more positive. We're going to have to become more positive about our own view of ourselves, not just our view of life. Because if you have a positive view of yourself, by the way, negative people who see life negatively will also often see themselves negatively, right? If you can see yourself in a positive, optimistic light, you will also see no matter what, even if the worst case scenario happens, I can handle it. But if you see yourself in a negative light, it's going to be hard to do that. Even if the worst case scenario happens, I'm going to suck. I'm going to fail. I'm a loser. So A, hope, and B, work on your own self-esteem and realize your own capacity to handle. And if you struggle bad things, and if you struggle with that, I want you to really look back on your life. I don't have 10-year-olds listening to this podcast. People who listen to this podcast have gone through some crap in life. They're older, right? Even if you're only 25, you've gone through some stuff. I want you to think back on those. And I want you to think about every single situation that felt big and loud and unmanageable that you managed, that you got through. Gosh, we're amazing. Like if we actually took the time, I don't want you to do this because it actually sounds like a really negative exercise in a way, but if you took the time to write down every bad thing that happened to you, every bad thing in your career, every bad financial thing, every bad relationship you were ever, every friendship, every time you got betrayed, every time, you couldn't trust someone, every time somebody was cruel to you, like on and on and on, every time you had a loss in life, whether a small loss or big loss, a death, if you wrote all of that down, my gosh, you've been beat up by life. Every single person listening to this, you have been beat up. Yeah. And you're still standing? Are you kidding me? You're still standing? You're still thriving? You have time to listen to this podcast right now? You're amazing.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that comes with just acknowledging I'm capable. Life is hard, but I have the capacity. I have the capacity and I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to get through it because I've already gotten through a lot of crap. Which brings me to something that I carry around that I want to show. I've talked about this before, but back after my divorce, when I was really struggling financially, I was on food stamps. And I remember it being a very shameful thing for me at the time. And other people making me feel very ashamed for being on food stamps. One particular time I will never forget was being in a grocery store. I had my kids were both toddlers. One was in the shopping cart. One was in my arm. And I'm paying. And the cashier says, "Are you using a credit card today?" And I said, "No, I'm going to use my food stamps card." And I hand it to her. And the lady behind me, she was trying to say it under her breath, but she obviously wanted me to hear it. She said, "Why don't you stop mooching off the government and get a job?" And I remember, that feeling when you're just I feel like you're just going to burst into tears. Yes. Your stomach hurts, your chest tightens. And I had no self-esteem back then. I hated myself. I already thought I was a failure and a loser and a bad mom. So I didn't have even the energy or the willingness to tell her off or stand up for myself. I just took it. I just took it. And I felt such shame. And I got in my car and bawled my eyes out. And by the way, I was working multiple jobs. So I decided that when I was no longer needing the food stamps card, that I would keep it. And I still have it. If you are watching this podcast instead of listening, you can see it. I still have it and I keep it in my wallet. This thing, I believe it was 2009 when it expired. So it's been years and years and years. But I have it and I keep it behind my credit card so that every time I pull up my credit card, I see it and I can remember where I once was and where I've gotten. And that's that hope, right? And it's a great reminder because it's not just about finances. But it's a great reminder that no matter what life throws my way, it's not permanent.
Yes.
I can get through it. I will get to a better place. That's helped me a lot with my positive attitude. And also, because it was such a symbol of shame for me, I love that I have it and it's not a symbol of shame anymore. Now it's a symbol of you badass. You went through a really tough time and you got through it. We all need reminders like that in life. So find those little things, again, whether it's the yeah but game, whether it's something physical from a really hard time in your life where you did hate yourself and you were negative, some kind of reminder that I managed the unmanageable. And the way I felt about myself and the way I felt about my life, it's not permanent.
Yeah.
I can grow. I can like myself more. I really like myself now, not in an arrogant way. I know I'm far from perfect, but I like myself.
Yeah.
And I like my life. And I know that life will throw a lot more hard stuff my way. And I want to make sure that I am not allowing that hard stuff to let me sit in that marinade of negativity. Mm-hmm. But to feel what I feel and then get out, not feel stuck, move forward, and make the best of what is.
I love that so much.
I think we can all do it.
Yeah.
But it is a daily practice. It's not easy.
Mm-hmm. No, it is definitely not easy.
Yeah.
Retraining your brain is hard.
Yeah, it's very hard. Mm-hmm. I want to thank you all for listening, and I love you all. And if you're struggling with being negative, I also just want to remind you, no kidding, life is hard. And there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in this country. I know I have an international following, US specifically. I'm sure there's a lot going on in whatever your country you live in. It's just a lot going on. It's very hard. A lot of people are struggling, but there's hope.
Yes.
And there's humor.
Yes.
And I think, I don't know, I just feel like we can all, let's control what we can and try to find good in every single day, even the worst days.
I love that.
Okay, if you need daily support, if you need more encouragement, you can check out my app, Hope and Humor Daily. You can also, on the app, listen and watch this podcast ad-free. And you can find me on social media everywhere at Kristina Kuzmic, Kristina with a K, last name Kuzmic. If you want to call ever and leave us a voicemail with a question, you can call 855-912-4175. And if you like this podcast, rate it, send us a review or write a review wherever you listen. That's always helpful for the podcast. If you hate the podcast, don't review it. Why would you do that? Why would you waste your time? Such a waste of time.
You know, one thing I love about your app is that every day it sends me a little email with a positive thought. And I love that.
There you go. A way to start your day.
Yep.
You know, I created the app. I basically want it to be everything I need. So I need that, especially because I'm not a morning person, to wake up and go, oh, okay, a little encouragement. I like this. Let's do this. Anyway, I love you all. Before you go to bed tonight, even if you're not writing it down, can you think of something really good that happened today? And then also, next time life really sucks and it's one of those days that you're like, the whole day sucked. Can you think of one good thing? All right, let's milk those 5 good minutes. Love you all. Bye.